Hello, welcome back, and today we are going to have a crack at the Spitfire from FlyingIrons, part of the Warbird collection. We are just north of the Mach Loop in Wales, and plan is we're going to go through the checks, do a cold start, get it up in the air, have a crack at flying through the Mach Loop with it, see how we get on with the landing. It is quite difficult to land, but see if we can get a smooth landing off it, and then before we go through the loop, might do some manoeuvres in it as well, see how it goes with some basic manoeuvres, and then what I want to try is a crash landing with it, because according to the manual you can belly land it, although it says it's very difficult and pilots of the era would generally abandon rather than trying to ditch it, because it had a tendency to flip forward, just because all the weight's in the front. But according to the manual, if you do belly land it properly, the props will bend to give you the realism of the crash damage. So we'll try potentially not here, we'll go somewhere else, potentially in the snow where it's a bit softer. We'll see how we get on with a belly landing. That is the plan anyway. Right. Externally it is what most of the flying iron planes are, very, very tidy. This is meticulous, it's probably their best. I'm very keen on the Spitfire, I do like it. It's very difficult, I'd say it's very difficult to fly, but it's very well modelled. And as always, as you'll see when you get into the cockpit's immaculate. I do love the cockpits from FlyingIrons. They do not go wrong with cockpits. Right, let's get inside and give it a look. So here's our cockpit. As is always the case with FlyingIrons, not come across one yet. They have done a fantastic job with the cockpit. Very detailed, very weathered where it needs to be weathered. As far as I can tell, pretty much everything works. Yeah, it's just really, really good. I love for the old warbirds having the canopy open and being able to look out the side, which was pivotal with these big old tail draggers, because you're trying to land and all you can see is that, because that great big thing's in the way. So what they would tend to do is pretty much stick their head out for takeoff and landing. Yeah, it's very, very nice cockpit. Right, let's get us started up. Okay, today we're going to try and do the checks with the head tracking on, see how we get on. So pre-flight checks, first thing we're going to do is get the door closed. We don't need to lock it, the locking mechanism's there, but that will lock as we pull the canopy across. Next we're going to check that the mixture, throttle and RPM levers are all in cut-off here on the left. Just interesting to note, that is your battery switch there, and if you pull, I won't do it all the way, but if I just move the throttle slightly, you'll see there's like an L-shaped piece of metal here that will hit the battery forward. So when we do our throttle checks in a little bit, that will turn on the battery switch, so you can't accidentally forget not to turn the battery on with the Spitfire. It's something I found quite interesting. So once we've checked those, we check our gear lever is down, which is this one over here. We check the emergency releases in the upright position, which is that one there. We check the fuel cut-off valve for the external tanks is in off, which it is. And our main fuel valve, fuel cock, is in the off position. Flight controls check. Free and clear, and they are working effectively. Good. Next we check the magnetos are both in the off position, which is down, the two on the left there. and we check that the fuel boost is off, which is this switch over here. I'll get right into it. Oh, that's interesting, it was on. Strange. But that should be in the off position. Or is that? Yeah, that to me looks to be off. So for some reason that was on, but now it's in the off position, should be off. Next we check the pneumatic pressure, which is this gauge down here. We're looking for 250, which is not far off. I should get it down right low for that. And the brake pressure, which is the two white needles there, they're both high, which is perfect. 0 are altimeter. Yeah, that's about right there. Next we check our throttle is free and clear of obstructions, and this will switch the battery on. Yeah, throttle functions properly, and you see now the battery's gone on. We've got the gear down indication light, we've got the fuel pressure warning light, and we've got some internal lighting that's come on as well. So last thing to check on the before checks is pre-start check, sorry, is the fuel. You push this button here and you see that's flicked over, we've got a full tank. Perfect. And that is the pre-flight checks complete. Okay, next it's startup checks. So we check the parking brake is set, it should be in the up position, and if you release it you'll see the brake pressure drops on this gauge here. See the needles drop as I apply it again, needles go up. So if you forget where the lever should be and you want to check, needles down, your brakes are off, needles up, your brakes are good. Fuel cockpit on. Throttle will crack just an inch. It is important, you don't want too much, so just a slight crack of the throttle there. Mixture to full. RPM prop all the way forward, and the air filter all the way forward. It's quite hard to see unless you're at an angle there. The air filter lever, this one here, all the way forward. We're going to unlock the primer by turning this round, and then we use this wobble pump. Before I do that, I'll just explain the primer. I think you need to over prime this. You shouldn't have to pump it as much as you do, so I think that's a slight error in the sim potentially. I could be wrong. So if you're struggling, what you can do is go into settings and turn on tooltips. So as you hover over it, it will actually say under primed, and then when it's at the right level it will say primed. I don't like having tooltips on because I feel like it ruins the immersion. If you do start to struggle, it's worth knowing that you can do that. So we're going to use this, which is called the wobble pump. We're going to pump it until this light goes out, and what we're doing is putting pressure into the fuel system. Without that pressure the engine won't start, and you've also got to keep an eye in flight. If this light comes back on, just a few pumps of the wobble pump will get some more pressure back in before your engine fails. So we'll start pumping this. It's gone out, so we'll just give a couple more pumps. Good. Now we can prime the engine. So to do that, just right click on this. And once that's primed, we'll turn on both the mags, 1 and 2, and we'll uncover the starter and the booster coil, and that is us ready to start the engine. So before we start the engine, we'll just check left, check right, and then we'll shout out clear prop. Reason we're doing that, just in case there's any workers hiding under here that we're not aware of, so they know we're about to start the engine. So once that's done, because you can't click on two things at once, you would use both fingers and push both these two. Because you can't do that, there's a click space just in the middle. So we'll get in a position where we can see a start. Takes a little while to get going. Lovely. We'll just make sure our RPMs are about 10,000. Throttle cracked an inch should be 10,000. That's perfect. So we can recover the starter and the booster. And that is a successful start. There's a lovely sounding engine. Okay then, so our after start checks are fairly simple, doesn't take long. First thing we're going to do is check the oil pressure, which is this one here, and we're looking for 60 to 120. As you see, we're hovering around 60, so we're at the low end, but that's a good thing while we're sat here, because that will rise fairly quickly. Next, we've already covered the two switches, but we'll just lock the primer so that doesn't get tripped during flight. Check the oil temperature, and we're looking for 20 to 60. This one here, see we are rapidly climbing. That is going to hit 60 quite soon, so we don't want to be on the ground too long. Next we're going to check the radiator temperature, and we want between 60 and 120. And that is this one here, and you can see that coming up as we speak. So again, we don't want to be lingering too long on the ground before we get her up. Next, check the RPM levers fully forward. Yes, it is. Check the fuel cock is on. Yes, it is. Check the gear lever is down. Yes, it is. Check the pneumatic pressure is above 220, which it is. 220 is about there, so we're just above it. Set radios if we're going to use them. Radios are down here. We're set to squawk at 7,000. We're not going to be using those. Flaps check. Flaps control is there. You can't actually see the flaps because they're under here. You get the ground crew to check them for you. I can just about hear them. Yeah, if you lean out, you can hear them. The mechanical aspect of them moving. You can't physically see them from the cockpit. Next we want the nav lights on, which is just under here, and then we're gonna you can lock the door. You don't, it's not necessary, but if you want to lock the door, as you pull the canopy over, it will lock for you. And that's it. That is the after start checks complete. We are ready for taxi. As you can see, there you go, look, there's an example. Fuel pressure lights come on, so we need to pump this a couple of times. See, those needles are all starting to come up, so we'll get going straight away. Okay, we'll taxi with canopy open. That is us ready to go. Okay, so park and brake off. Doesn't need much throttle at all to get us going. Just little taps of the brake. It's very, very responsive under taxi. Rather than take off from the runway, we'll take off alongside the runway. purely because that's what the Spitfire did most of the time. It would take off on grass strips. On our way back in, we'll make a dynamic decision what we want to do. It's a lovely sounding engine, just purrs. FlyingIrons have done really well with the sound pack on this. So we're not going to bother stopping at the hold short, we'll just crack straight on. Yeah, the grass is flat enough, short enough for us. Just get past that runway sign and then we'll pull onto the grass. Okay, rebel. I like that you even get vibration in the wings. Look, some very good attention to detail. We'll just come to a stop next to the runway. Quick check of everything in the cockpit. Gauges are all good. Fuel pressure again, but because we're spending too long on the ground, we need to get going. Other than that, everything else is within permissible levels. So that's taxi complete, ready for takeoff. Okay, so for takeoff, straight away pull back on the stick slightly because you're a tail dragger, and then gently increase the throttle. Tail comes up quite quickly. A little bit of left rudder to keep us off that runway. Positive climb, gear up. We can hear it in, and we've got the up light. No concerns, handling as we expect, all gauges look good, so we're good to continue. Canopy closed and locked, and now what we'll do is just bring the prop back, bring the mixture back and the throttle back. We'll just start a gentle right turn. We'll do some aerobatics in the area of the runway using that linear feature. Just not overstress the engine too much as we climb. Won't need too much height, we're not doing anything too drastic, and we want to stay fairly low ready for when we do the loop. A lot of glare on that perspex today. So we've got 3,000 feet there. Just keep climbing until we get to 4, and then we'll get started. So RAF Valley is off the nose, sort of in that direction there. Just behind us, which we're going to turn towards in a sec, is Barmouth. Oh, I took a little bit of a dive there while I wasn't paying attention. Is Barmouth, which is one of the main routes in towards the Mach Loop. And there's 4,000 feet. So we'll level off at 4,000. And that's us ready to start some manoeuvres. So first thing we're going to do, because we're going to be pushing it quite hard, put the RPM lever all the way forward, fully forward on the mixture, fully forward on the throttle to start picking up our speed. As soon as we get past 250 knots, try a high G turn, back towards Barmouth. Really good, very well controlled, a little bit of buffering, gained about 1,000 feet doing that as well, back in the opposite direction. Killing off that altitude a little bit. Lovely, no problems with that whatsoever. Leveling out, just under 4,000. So roll to the left. Good. And roll to the right. No problems there whatsoever. So we'll just pick up some altitude again, get up to about 4,000, and then we'll have a go at an Immelman, which is a loop with a roll off the top. There's 4,000, so we'll swing back in towards the runway. That's it, a high turn now. Lined up nicely on the runway. Okay, speed's good, we've got more than 250 knots, altitude's good, we're over 4,000 feet. Got a linear feature below us. Just wait till we get over it. Should be as good there, so we'll start by just bringing the nose down. And then all the way up. Over the top for that horizon. There's the horizon. Hold and roll. And there's your Immelman. No problems with any of that whatsoever. So now we're ready for cruise. So we'll just come back on the RPM. Back on the mixture. Back off the throttle. There is a little, if I can get around that, little marker just there. This is combat takeoff and climb only for the throttle. This is just to like warn you that you shouldn't be pushing it too much in that mode or in that at that level. So we're now heading out towards the Mach Loop. Turn these nav lights off now. Start to descend, coming down through 4,000 fairly rapidly, so we'll watch we don't pick up too much airspeed, come off the throttle a little bit. Just below us there, if I wings level for a second. In fact, it's probably on the other side of us now, is Barmouth. That's Barmouth down there. This is the route we routinely come in. To get ourselves lined up with a loop. And now we've levelled off a bit, just a quick check within the cockpit. Everything's within parameters. Oil temperature is very high, so we'll just be, we are quite low. Oil temperature is very high, so we need to keep an eye on that. Radio temperature is good. Oil pressure is excellent. Fuel pressure is good, no warning light. I'm not going to check the fuel because we started off with loads of fuel. So I'm not worried about that at all. Cruising out towards the entrance. Start to ourselves lined up for it. And in theory it should be very easy taking this around the loop compared to some of the fast jets. There's the entrance there. Just start our gentle turn round. While we're doing that, we're going to push the RPM lever fully forward. Come fully rich on the mixture and open the throttle right up just to give us a good entry speed. Follow the road into the entrance, which is dead ahead of us there. We want to get ourselves lined up on the right hand side as we come in, ready for our first turn. So I'll do my best to describe it as we go through. Smile for the photographers. Catch our best side. Reducing the throttle ready for the first turn. We stick to the right hand side of the valley. First turn is there just before the lake. And then throttle back up. Let's keep our speed during the turn. Straight towards chorus. We think we're doing sort of between 200 and 300 knots, and you're rocking along at 400 knots in most of the jets when you come through here. And we'll go straight over the top of this one. Some flare, just for anyone watching. Watching for our marker at wind turbines. Wow. Pushing that a bit low. Ready for our hard left. And there it is. Follow the river. Fully open the throttle now. Try and get ourselves nice and low along here. Just using that river to trace our route. Quick glance at everything in the cockpit. Everything still looks good. It feels so slow compared to the jets. But it's not. It's still whipping along at crazy speeds. I mean, we're coming up on 300 miles an hour. Sorry, 300 knots there. Just shy of. Inches away from those trees. There's our mountain we're looking for. That one straight ahead there, that's half in darkness, half light, half dark. We're going to go up the left hand side of that, along the tree line, and hard left turn. Mountain there with the big forest on the side is our turn. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of any of these. Okay, off the throttle. Throttle back on. Following the road. did this in a Harrier the other day, and it was a totally different experience. Felt like I was going warp speed compared to this. There's our exit. Already getting annoyed for being at full tilt for so long. Keep it nice and low through the exit. Entrance there to our left. Quick check to our right, make sure no one's coming through the valley. Back off the throttle, back off the mixture, and pull the RPMs back. Leveling her out at 2,000 feet, that's 2,000 feet above the airfield. It's obviously we haven't got 2,000 feet of spare ground below us, just got to be cautious. We don't want to get too high because we'll come in for a landing now. So that is the Mach Loop in a Spitfire. And to be honest with you, although it's a challenging plane to fly, going so slowly compared to the jets makes doing the Mach Loop quite easy. It's still just as much fun though. Don't really have a bad word to say about this. FlyingIrons Spitfire is spot on. Comes with several different liveries as well. I'll put pictures of all of them on the video for you. It's very easy to take nice pictures with this plane. Sort of lends itself to it. Right. So what we'll do is, still hovering around 2,000 feet, as we come out of here we'll take a right turn and then we'll see how many times we bounce on the ground trying to land it. And then after that we'll reset, go somewhere snowy for a soft landing, and we'll try belly landing, see how we go on with that. so we're lined up with the estuary, head out to the sea. As we come out the Barmouth estuary, if we look right we should see the runway, and we're going to land just to the right hand side of that on the grassy field. And so goes the plan. Sun should be behind us, so no visibility issues. Weather's perfect. Everything's still looking good with the cockpit. Plenty of fuel. And there we go, you see the two blinking lights, that's the runway. So yeah, we're happy with 2,000 feet, we'll leave it there for now. Just our turn. Speed down. 200, just above 200 knots. Lose a lot of that on the turn. Maintaining 2,000. Throttle back. Lined up nicely. Below 150 under 1,500 feet. Flaps down. Gear down. Let's get that canopy open. Just over 1,000 feet. Speed 95 knots. Right a little bit, so just come left. brake applied. Everything looks good. Ready for taxi. So, park brake off. How far we got to go? Not too far, I hope. But yeah, we are miles away. So there's white buildings over there. So what we'll do is just taxi over to the tower. Park up at the tower. There. Parking brake on. So now we can come. Throttle's already all the way back on the mixture, all the way back on the RPM lever. We can close the air filter up. We can turn the fuel cock off. Both magnetos off. Check everything else is in the off position. Get the door unlocked and open. Oop. And round the front here and turn the battery off. Okay, so the last thing we're going to have a go at is a gear up landing. According to the manual, if we do it right, the props will bend. Again, if we do it right, we shouldn't tip forward. And there is a snowy runway. Can't quite see it yet, but there is a snowy runway at the end of this lake. Just a grass strip that's completely covered in snow. Leave the canopy closed, there'll be a lot of debris. And hope for the best. But there you have it, we're alive, we survived. There's the bent props. And we didn't flip. Happy days. So, all in all, it is fantastic. The Spitfire from FlyingIrons is really, really good. It's quite difficult. Got to be very switched on as you're flying, keeping an eye on your gauges, keeping pressure in the fuel tank, careful not to overexert it, but it's a lot of fun. It's really well modelled. All in all, I really enjoyed it.